As we're working with properties of equality to solve equations that have either negative solutions or involve negative numbers, I think it's always valuable to look at some of the common mistakes that people make. And so I've got three students, Noah, Elena, and Andre, who all solved this equation 2 times the quantity x minus 9 equals 10, and they got three different solutions. And so a good sort of analysis is to look at sort of step by step what each individual student did. And this is why I always push you to show your work so that I can assess, like, where did you come into a problem. So for example, here, what Noah looks like he did, I'll give you a hint. Noah is incorrect in the way he solved this. It looks like Noah was trying to use inverse operations, and to get rid of this negative 9, he's adding 9 to both sides first. But the problem with that is that it's inside this parenthetical statement. So it's inside these parentheses. And so I can't do anything to this x or this negative 9 until I deal with the 2. So either Noah needed to distribute that 2 in first, or he needed to divide by 2 first. So I can see right here, this plus 9, that's not going to be a legal move because he couldn't do that move until he dealt with this 2. Again, either by distributing it in or by dividing it out. So Noah's method does not work. Elena similarly has made a mistake, and her mistake is a little bit different in that now what she's decided, she's got the same equation, and Elena, it looks like, went ahead and distributed that 2 into that quantity x minus 9. She's distributed everything properly because 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. And so her next step down here should have been the opposite of negative 18 is positive 18. So right here, she should have added 18 to both sides. And so because she has now 10 and negative 18, she gets an erroneous error here of negative 8, but it really should have been adding those two together. So again, we want to be careful when we're doing these things to make sure we are using our properties of equality in efforts to keep things balanced. We also have to maintain the idea of inverse operations. So Elena's method does not work. Andre's method works great. Andre has done a step-by-step method, and it's easy for me to follow. And I can see he's distributed this 2 times the quantity x minus 9 correctly. So he's got 2x minus 18 equals 10. And the next step it looks like Andre did is he correctly added 18 both sides to get rid of this negative 18. And so now I've got 2x equals 28. And so my next move would be to divide both sides by 2 because the math that's happening between this 2 and the x is multiplication. So the inverse of that is division. And so I divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 14. So common pitfalls to avoid is when you're distributing, you need to distribute it all the way through, and you can't deal with anything inside the parentheses until you've either distributed or divided. And then making sure when we do our inverse operations, we're properly using the correct inverse operation.